So this Be Well Now method it has really been informed by what we're getting wrong with exercising for health. And number one is that we have to be well first before we can be healthy. And so the Be Well Now method is how to use exercise to be well, put your physiology in the state of being well right now. And we have these 6 mindsets that take us through those 3 steps of the Be Well Now method. So let's run through the mindsets and I'd love to hear how those mindset shifts happen for you and what's been the result for you. The first one is presence. And that's to counter the progress mindset. We're really obsessed about progress and we have all these ways to see progress. But shifting into presence is kind of pulling in all the best of mindfulness and gratitude um, and other research based, evidence based information about motivation, like stage of readiness for change, that we have to meet ourselves where we are if we're going to get where we want to go. I'm
Hmm.
curious how that played out for you in that shift from progress to focusing on present moment results.
Yeah. When you say that, the first thing that comes to my mind is how I had to become more present to what was actually happening in my body. Uh, and what it meant was the usual ways of operating, the way I had been exercising, the way I'd been doing it, approaching it, the amount of it, etc. Um, when I, I was going to say, pain brought me to presence.
Yes,
That story
it
I
has a way of
told
doing that.
yes, in another conversation, that the story I told you about the day I'm walking up the steps to get to the Pilates studio I was working out at, and every step was painful, at every single step. And then that question, should I be taking the elevator up here? And that aha moment, so
Yeah,
that would be presence. It's like,
yeah,
wait a minute,
yeah,
something's not right here.
yeah.
And it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with steps or Pilates or elevators. It just meant that I was not in touch with what was happening with my body at that point. I was still in an old mindset of, well, this is what I do, and this is how long I do it, how often I do it, etc. So that was a wake up call.
Yeah, really breaking apart that no pain, no gain mindset that is hidden below the surface of a lot of what we do for exercise.
Yeah. Or the way I like to think of it, pain is a motivator.
It really is.
It gets your
Really
attention.
is. It gets
Yeah.
your attention and it's there to do that, right? That's the job of pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that quickly leads to the next mindset. So these first 2 mindsets are the B step. And
Hmm.
so we can't be healthy or be anything if we can't be. So that's presence. But especially when we don't like what's here, we need kindness to make it okay to listen to our body. And that's the hard part, right? We can use criticism works really nicely for motivation. Someone's hard on you, you're gonna do something, you're gonna take action,
Hmm.
and it works, and we use it in exercise, but it won't put us in a well state. It'll keep us in a stress state. And so that shift from criticism to kindness inside
Yeah.
is a key because without kindness, it's really hard to be okay with being in pain. How did self compassion and emotional awareness and self empathy and there's the term acceptance commitment therapy is another one that
Hmm.
kind of pulls in this idea of, oh, wait, I have to accept what's here and I've got to respond with what can I do to help? So, how did
Yeah.
that play out for you with embodying self compassion?
Well, when you mention the word criticism, as a motivator, and that certainly rings a bell for me because I'm, as a psychologist in practice, especially working with executives and professionals, high achievers,
Mhm.
uh, we tend to have big inner critics and big pushers, inner pushers that drive us to get things done and to do them very well, to achieve. So when I was, having this experience of my body's not working like it used to or like I want it to, at least I had the presence of mind to know that when we have an inner critic, what's really underneath it is not meanness or malevolence. It's
Mhm.
anxiety, high anxiety.
Wow.
You,
Can
you
you say
know,
that again? That is really so helpful.
It is, it's
Yeah.
incredibly helpful because, we think of an inner critic because it is harsh.
Hmm.
It can be really mean, but if you're going to deal effectively with an inner critic, it's to understand what's really driving all that,
Mm.
and underneath it is high anxiety,
Mm.
being
Wow.
really afraid of like, "Oh my gosh, what's happening with my body? Why isn't it working?" And you gotta do something, and you can imagine that's where the pushing and the criticism comes from,
Yes.
and, so I'd say that's just touching the tip of the iceberg about this
Mm.
topic too. We can save I'd certainly like to talk more about that, but, at least I knew from my own training and experience this is really about is anxiety.
Okay.
It's fear.
Yes. So you use that inner critic as a wake up call to say, oh, wait, I need to balance that out with some self kindness and respond to that in a empathetic way to say, oh, wait, you're really anxious. This is
Yeah,
hard. What can I
yeah,
do to help? Yeah. And
exactly,
I think,
exactly.
yeah,
And you wouldn't
yeah,
think you talk to an inner critic like that, but
right, right.
actually you do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So now you're kind of here. Okay. What can I do to help? Now, what do you do? Sometimes when we dive into action, but the well step is there to say, hold on, our source of guidance is inside. So we
Mhm.
might go, oh, I've got to call this person. I've got to get this professional. I've got to do this. I've got to get that advice. Let me do a Google search. But the best Google search that you can do is tapping into your inner guides, what you know inside. So these next two mindsets are really about that. That's what it
Yes,
means to be well, is to trust what's here now as your guide. And so the
yes.
first one is trusting, switching from that trying mindset and trying to fix something to, okay, what's here? What's important? And that brain body science tells us that, you know what, we've got a heart brain and a gut brain that is so powerful and so wise and carries a lot of our information. So being able to tap into that and have the emotional agility to say, I'm feeling nervous, I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. But what I really want to feel is, and being able to churn up what you want.
Yeah.
So that's the trusting. So how did you start then turning that into self trust?
Actually, it probably started with that moment when something is wrong. Your body, you
Yeah,
can trust that if you're in
yeah,
pain, every step you're taking, uh, you need to trust that and act on it.
yeah.
And that did, set me in a different direction. But I'd say another thing that was helpful just with the person that I was working with, the personal trainer
Mm,
that I was working with at the time, I knew how to work better with her because I've worked with you. Uh,
mm,
in other
mm.
words, as we were going through certain
Yeah,
movements, this is on a
yeah.
Pilates reformer I was working, but it's like, okay, if you don't feel like you need to do that, don't do it, or
Mm,
pause before you go further, or um, ask for an adjustment or a different piece of support or whatever it is.
mm,
But and I told her up front, I'm going to be listening really closely to my body. And she said, I'm trusting you to do that. It was kind of like a
wow.
collaboration. Well, I
Yeah.
had learned that because of working with you,
Mm,
that you have to uh, trust. And it kind of folds back into the other things too, though. It was very humbling.
mm,
It's hard when you're used to being able to do a lot and go and, be impressive or
yeah,
whatever, and
yeah.
instead, it's more like, "No, I think I need to stop now." That would be a massive, breaking of a rule of an inner critic. Or no, and you know what? It's not just inner critic, inner pusher, big time.
Yeah,
Like,
big time.
"No, you don't stop until you're at 10 or 15 reps," or whatever. It's like, "No, we don't stop."
Mhm.
So
A lot of
just
people,
that
yeah,
trusting that I think I need to stop now,
yeah.
and finding a way, to do it without, having a massive inner critic attack, because it is humbling. If you're not
Mhm.
careful, it's gonna go into embarrassment or even worse, shame,
Yeah. For a
but
lot of people, it does.
yeah,
Yeah. You're describing so perfectly how these mindsets are like the presence with kindness is the foundation, and then we build on that. You need the presence with kindness first in order to trust. Having that inner ability allowed you to get more out of all different kinds of exercise and even eating and all of these things.
yeah.
the other piece of what we know inside is passion. We know what we are, what's important to us. We know what we value. We know what is, the thing in life that will give us energy. Whether it's family or friends or a job or something or a hobby or a passion that you have, something that lights you up. That kind of energy is pretty important. But the counter to that is performance based, where I've
Yeah.
got to get better. I've got to externally prove that I'm better. So how did
Yes.
that play out for you? We call it your core why. As you know, we find your
Yeah.
core why that's most important to you. How did that work for you to use your core why as you were exercising and managing pain?
Well, from what I've learned both from you and from Dr. Judd Brewer's habit change work, that the big light bulb moment for me was that your brain picks up on the highest reward value.
Mhm.
And just this mind-blowing, notion that this is supposed to feel good while I'm doing it. So in other words, no straining, no, pushing, forcing, but it's like this should feel good while
Right.
I'm doing it, after I'm doing it, and that and how important that is for motivation, because if it hurts, on some level, your body and your brain are going to remember that, and you're not going to want to come back and do it again,
Yeah.
regardless of, or you have to find all these external motivators,
Mhm.
pushers to
Yeah.
get you to do it. So to me, that's been one of the biggest and the best things, seriously, that I
Mhm.
have learned from you, that it needs to feel good now
Yeah. That was a light
while
bulb
I'm doing
moment.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Performance is about feeling better later when you hold the reward in your hand. And passion is now. My life is now, and I want to feel better now. And exercise can make me feel better now. Yeah, it was a big shift.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
would say, if I can fold in the trust piece of that too, though, is that's
Mhm.
how you start to learn to trust yourself, that I will do exercise, not because I have to force myself or whatever, pay somebody to make me do it. I can trust that I have an internal motivation that will drive me. And, as I'm saying all this, it's not like I want to make sure I qualify this. This is certainly a journey, it's a process, So it's not like I have it perfected,
Yeah.
but I've certainly had enough experience and evidence now
Mhm.
to know that it's like that is pretty cool to feel
Yeah.
like it's not because there's something wrong with me.
Mhm.
I'm not motivated. It's like, no, this is how you get motivated, and it can come from inside. Not that we
Yeah.
don't need other help and other,
Mhm.
whatever, but it's like, oh my goodness, that's insane. I
It's
just love it.
so it's so powerful, you're right, and
It
I think you're
is.
right. I mean, this is like layers. I mean, I'm constantly, learning more about these mindsets. I feel like they're so rich, and they have so much ripple effect into other areas of our life. When you're
Yes.
embodying what we embody when we move our body, when we exercise, that
Yeah.
intentional movement changes us. It can make us less self-confident or more self-confident. It can give us better self-trust or worse self-trust. It can
Yes.
embody criticism or embody self-kindness. It sticks in our cells. It doesn't just change our muscles. Exercise changes
Mhm.
our whole person. So why not up these mindsets to level up what we're getting from exercise? And that's well-being. That's what exercising for well-being is. And you're
Yes.
doing it. And I love the discoveries that we both keep having about passion and self-trust, and presence, even, and kindness. And it's rich with a lot to learn. It's
Yes,
exciting,
it
fun.
is.
It makes it fun.
It
um
does.
yeah. So that brings us, that what you said, like, it has to feel good now. How do you make it feel good now? And this is the step that makes all the difference. The now step is where we pull in movement science so that it does feel good now. And that's the difference. You can meditate, you can go exercise, you can get steps, but it's not going to feel good unless we're following the principles of movement and exercise science. And that's the now step. And the first mindset is wholeness. And because we have a parts approach. Oh, I'm going to strengthen my heart. I'm going to strengthen my hamstrings. I'm going to stretch my quads. We have all these parts that we're working on. I'm going to fix my brain. I'm going to, fix my
Yeah.
feet, all, you know, I mean, we have parts for everything, and we end up being fragmented, and we have all these lists for different things that we're supposed to do for different parts of our well-being, but it's all connected. Everything's connected. When we see it all together, everything's so much easier. We can see how one part is helping the other, not working against the other, and how that connects you to the people around you, the people you work with, the clients that you help, the, you know, your friends, your family, how you can feel how when you're well, it connects to other people. Um, how has wholeness, as opposed to fragmentation or a parts mindset, changed not only how you're exercising, but how has that kind of played out for you?
Um, I guess what I think of when you say that is just that little opening exercise you have where you're simply standing there in alignment with awareness and presence. For me, there's something about, I don't know if this is quite answering the wholeness question, but it's what I
Yeah.
think of. You're just standing there, and
Mm.
it's like this like totally again uh I'm looking for a word that's different from insane because I just said that earlier, but it's like this
Mind
insane
blowing.
instruction from Janet to like, "No, you just kinda let your body find its way into a standing position as opposed to working it or putting it or placing
Yeah.
it and holding it."
Yeah.
And, that's still very much something I'm exploring, but,
Yeah.
there is something very whole about just standing there in your own body,
Yeah.
and there is something about it does bring you more present, certainly to yourself, and then there's the chance you might be able to be present with somebody else, like your
Yeah.
client or your child or your husband.
Yes. Yeah, you're really embodying presence. That's right, because that's the first one. And I call it natural alignment because it is alignment. You're lining up, but it's natural for you. It's what it feels like now, not what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
And you're right, that is the first step rather than diving into working out and doing something, because when you're in your natural alignment, biomechanics says that everything is stronger. The study of biomechanics, movement mechanics, when you're in alignment, everything's stronger, which is why we have a core. So we layer on these movements too, so that when you're moving, you have the least strain and the most strength. And that
Mhm.
has the best chance for moving without pain. And you add that presence, and then you're like, okay, this doesn't hurt. Okay, nope, I'm pain free still. I'm pain free. And you're moving along in that pain free range. When you're moving without pain, your body is really good at moving without pain.
Yeah,
And it broadens what you can do. So yeah, that
yeah.
that is wholeness. I like how you brought it back to that first step, because it is coming back to, I'm already whole. I don't have to prove anything to somebody else. I'm already whole.
Mhm.
And I think that leads
Yeah.
really nicely to our final mindset, which is confidence, that we can do a lot of comparison. And especially with social media, it's like, oh, she looks great. He looks great. Oh, you know, look at what she's doing. Look what he's doing. We have a lot of comparison opportunities, and that can create a lot of anxiety. Instead, embodying confidence that I'm okay. I'm whole. What my body's telling me is trustworthy. And that's what all of these mindsets lead to, is embodying that confidence that you're okay right now. You don't have to prove anything to be better or healthy. You're already well right now. And that's how it kind of comes full circle. So
Mhm.
how has this shift from, like, maybe comparison or maybe, you know, competition or whatever that was for you, where it was maybe other focused or trying to get to a level, or, you know, be on par with other people, whatever that was, how has that shifted into confidence for you internally?
Actually, the first thing I would say is because of everything we just discussed and how it all
Yeah.
fits together and, uh, supports and reinforces all these different steps. What I feel confident about is that by using this Be Well Now methodology, that you've created, uh, I am confident that I will work out, I will exercise, and it's because it feels good. It's motivating to go. I mean, yes, I'm getting these other things like, "Oh, this looks better," or "This feels better," afterwards or whatever. That's part of it too, but, um, again, when you're moving and exercising because it feels good and you're benefiting, you're not having to push or force yourself, That sure as heck builds confidence. In other words, here's the bottom line. I'm more consistent and, I can trust myself more now. I have more
Mm,
confidence that I will keep doing these things because it's like, why wouldn't I? It feels good. I want to.
yeah,
I
yeah,
it's rewarding. That's, I would say in the old days when you're motivating yourself more from, I don't know, competition, too much from how to look a certain way or perform a certain way that, again, that's kind of fear-based, you
mm-hmm,
know, and
yes,
part of the fear is that what if I can't keep myself doing this, or what if I
yeah,
kinda fall off the wagon here or
yeah,
something, or hurt myself and I can't do it. Well, over here is this confidence, like, I feel very confident that I will do this.
yeah,
And whether it's going to a class that I like or inserting these little, small I'm trying to take, Judd Brewer's "Small Moments Many
mm,
Times" mantra that
mm-hmm,
I love so much, and I'm thinking,
love
"How
so
does
well.
this translate to what Janet is doing?" And as best I've come up with so far is, you might say, "Small moments of movement many times."
Mm-hmm, yeah,
But
moving
is
well,
that not
yeah,
energy management for any high achiever person
yeah,
in the world
yeah,
today is being able to fit that in and keep your energy high or,
yeah,
as opposed to just exhausting yourself and then you go try to work out or,
mm-hmm,
pushing
yeah,
yourself.
yeah,
Uh, this is more about energy management, and it all
mm,
kind of fits back into everything else of being kind, being present.
mm-hmm,
Um, no wonder I'm so, excited
yeah,
about this and I've been doing it with you long enough too.
mm-hmm,
That is a confidence thing. I see the results.
yeah,
I
yeah,
see the difference that it makes.
yeah.
So that is a confidence builder.
Yeah, you're really feeling the results of much less pain, being out of pain, and confidence that you'll be self motivated. Like the pain went away and the stress went away associated with exercising.
And I don't want this to sound like somehow I have no pain now or I've
Hmm.
achieved every result I
Yeah.
want. No, I still do physical therapy for
Hmm.
chronic things in my body that I
Yeah.
will probably always be dealing with.
Yeah.
It's a different approach now, though.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, there are many different external supports and help that I need that I will
Hmm.
and issues that I will continue to deal with.
Yeah.
Um, but boy, I sure have more confidence about how to go about it.
Yeah. It sounds like you're getting more out of them because you have these mindsets now embodied and these skills for listening to your body. I mean, most people
Yeah.
have something that they have to deal with, whether it's an emotional or mental or physical challenge. And to have these skills is allowing you to move forward in life, but do it well, that you can be well even while you are getting
Yes, that's a
stronger
nice
and
way to
managing
put it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for um, helping me understand this method better and how to use it better, for and for really having the courage to try something different and take this even further. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes. Well, I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to more for sure.
absolutely. Me too. Thank you, Jan.